When you start to study and understand brain development, as I did, I don't care if you're an atheist, agnostic, or believer in creator, you have to step back and just go, wow.
Neuroscientist Andrew Huberman was recently on the Cameron Hanes podcast, and they have this incredible discussion about the intricacies of the brain, function, genetics, and neuroplasticity, expressing awe at the complexity of biology and the human brain. And despite his scientific background, he openly states his belief in God, asserting that the marvels of science are compatible with the existence of a deity. Let's get into this.
When you're talking about the brain and all the, you mentioned it last night, and this had me thinking. It's like, when you think how all that works, I have to take an aside and say, how could that happen in nature is without a creator?
Yeah. So, well, here's the thing. We know that the programs, meaning genes, so genes, DNA, and there's DNA, then there's RNA, and then there's proteins. And proteins are the action end of the game where they say, hey, like, grow over here, don't grow over there, become this kind of cell, dopamine cell or a serotonin cell. We know that those mechanisms are incredibly well conserved from mice to humans. Now, certain things happen in the human brain that you don't see in other species, like the elaboration of the parts of the brain that are involved in context and planning, especially. But the memory systems, the ones that control hormones, breathing, heart rate, they're very similar. Not exactly the same, but very similar.
Okay.
When you start to study and understand brain development, as I did, or neuroplasticity, or dopamine, you have to, meaning I don't care if you're an atheist, agnostic, or believer in creator, you have to step back and just go, wow. Wow.
I love how expressionate he is when he thinks about how complex the human brain really is, and that it really doesn't matter what you believe or your background, because it is a finely tuned piece of machinery that we believe God has created. Now, he goes on to talk about his faith, his journey, how he has always prayed, and even secretly during his youth. You got to listen to the whole thing. I have it linked below. But he comes from this diverse religious background and has also recently started reading the Bible. And he later emphasizes how prayer has helped him even with his internal struggles. Let's continue.
I'll just go on record. I'm very comfortable saying it. I believe in God. I do. I think there are many things that science can explain. There are certain things science can't explain. But I'll even go a step further, which is that all the elements of science are entirely compatible with the idea of there being a God. And I'm not the first scientist to say this. Einstein believed in God. Carl Jung, one of the greatest psychologists ever, clearly believed in God. There are many atheist scientists. There are agnostic scientists who are just kind of like unsure, right? And, for me, I'm in absolute awe of biology. It's just incredible that we're sitting here having this conversation. It's with language, that there are little sound waves that you're perceiving and understanding. It's just, and I think the brain represents the apex of incredible in terms of biology. Like, the heart is interesting, the immune system is interesting, the liver is interesting, but the brain is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Think about the number of different ways you can move your body compared to another species. Think about what you did today. Think about what I was attempting to do today, right?
Yeah.
Spectacular. Think about technology, these lights, the, Tesla cars, spaceships. The internet. Unbelievable. And yet, oh so real.
So there's no doubt that Huberman is into the study of the intricacies of the brain function and indeed believes in God. The fact that you are streaming this video on your phone, on your computer, and maybe you're at work, maybe you're at home, on the bus, in an airplane, via a cell phone, right? And there's this tower transmitting a signal to your phone, or this invisible Wi-Fi floating through the air in your home, which was all designed by the human brain. It's insane, yet it's a reality, right? It's just crazy what we've been able and capable to do. Now, in this last clip, Huberman is asked who he prays to and expresses not only that he prays to God, but the importance of prayer and how it has changed him. I think you're going to learn something from this clip. I know I did.
Who do you pray to?
That's an interesting one because I think God. Yeah. So I absolutely do. But yeah, I pray out loud in the morning, sometimes again in the middle of the night if I wake up. And it's only recently that I've been doing this more often.
It's giving you peace? Or?
Oh, my goodness. It's given me so much. It's given me peace. And, this is going to sound weird and probably people are going to be like, what are you talking about? If this, it works. It works. There's a way in which certain things I was grappling with, I just couldn't resolve. I couldn't do it. And it was all internal and I just couldn't do it.
How were you trying to resolve these things? Like have an answer?
Yeah, discipline myself. I mean, it wasn't like I was super, undisciplined. I mean, obviously I have a lot of self-discipline, but I always pray, I want to remove my defects of character. I want to, I certainly pray for other people. I mostly, these days I pray for the ability to really harness as much care and love for other people and for myself, something I haven't been that good at in my lifetime, in order to be able to put the best possible work into the world, to really serve. Like I really see myself as serving higher power. Like I'm a conduit.
Prayer works. It just does. I know I've prayed for people who in some cases don't believe in God or have a relationship with him. And when I'm done, they just say, thank you. I feel better. They don't even know why, right? There's something that this neuroscientist knows that we need to learn from that happens in the brain when we connect with God. He gets it, right? He says that he prays for others. He says that he allows God to use him as a conduit to serve other people, which reminded me that we should all be used by God to pray for others as conduits to serve other people. Now, there's something that he said here that can't be overlooked. And before I finish this video, I just have to point that out, that he said that he prays and prayer helps correct defects of his character. Now, I know I have a ton of defects in my character. My brain can go to some really dark places. And this neuroscientist is encouraging me to pray about my defects, to be really specific, that God help me overcome this dark thought, this dark place that my brain goes to. It reminds me of what Paul wrote to the church at Philippi. He said, don't worry about anything, but in everything through prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Hey, we have this amazing gift that God gave us, this brain, right? It's a reality. It's powerful. And we have evidence that when we put it together with prayer, it really works. You should give it a try. I'll see you on the next one.